Business of being black today is the black church toxic? Listen, consciously, they say it's not the Bible, it's not the church, it's the people and the interpretations that's making the church toxic, not the church itself, nor is it the Bible and its principles.
And my response is, what is an ideology if we if we can't judge it based off of its followers? We can acknowledge that basically nobody in the Bible had a Bible. Sometimes they're saying, it's like, what you getting with that? To me, it's like when you say that it's not the church, it's the people. It's like, listen, whoever decides when the church opens, whoever decides the blueprint of the church, who decides who runs the church, who decides who gets in and get out, it's the people. You know what I'm saying? Pastor Fisher said, it's not the car, it's the driver. How can we, in my mind, measure the utility or efficiency of a car if you're able to detach it from the driver? You see what I'm saying? It's like, to me, when we start to evaluate things and we want to separate them, to me, it's a cop-out. The toxicity of the church has to do with the people and how different people are able to say, hey, you know what? Don't have that resentment or don't have that towards the church. It's the people. It's like, listen, the people is what's going on. So Matthew 4:4, right? Nobody should rely on, say, man, do not eat bread alone, but rely on the mouth of God. It's like everybody has their interpretations, and even within the church, it's beef. You see what I'm saying? So every time we say, we have to make a distinction and say, hey, you can't put that criticism on that. That's how people do it. But you
gotta understand. Even the person driving the car, you got to understand there was a manufacturer of the vehicle. There was someone who had an idea, who had a purpose for a vehicle, drew up the design, put that design to work. That design was put on the assembly line. The assembly line, they had their job to do what they did to put that car together. But now the person driving it is messing up because they didn't go by the manufacturer's instructions, which is the principle. It's sort of like the story of the woman grandma years ago. In order for her to cook a roast, she had to cut it in half and put it in the stove. But then years down the long line, when the stove got bigger, grandma was still cutting it in half. And granddaughter, why are you cutting the roast in half? Because baby, when I was growing up, that's what we did because that's how big the stove was. And so now as we grow into ministry, as we grow into society, we got to look at the manufacturer. You like to look at the one who created everything, who started everything, because General Motors is one beginning of the Cadillac. But guess what? You got Nissan. You got all these beginnings. All right.
Well, I want to drive away from the cars right now and pull up to the church. When we talk about the leaders of the church, the pastors, the reverends, the people who are on this panel right now, it seems that pastors or reverends or bishops can never admit when they are at fault, like one mega church bishop did, and everybody knows who I'm talking about here, Creflo Dollar. He recently renounced his teachings about tithing. And so my thought is, if he can be wrong in his interpretation of what tithing is, can't everybody be wrong in their interpretations of the Bible? Anybody can take this.
Absolutely. And I want to say this, that sometimes I think we get such in a mood of like, I just want to argue. We're saying the same thing. Like literally what Consciously is saying, bro, you're saying the same thing that I've been saying as well. That the problem is the people in leadership. And what the church has to do is hold those people that misinterpret the Bible. They have to hold them accountable. They need to put systems in place that no longer allow them to represent us on a large scale and having a whole generation confused about what we stand for. Now going to what you said, Tammy, yes, we are fallible. We are human beings trying to understand a God that we've never seen, going to a heaven we've never been to, right? And it's way larger than what we can conceive. And in our interpretation, as we are growing in our knowledge and our research, sometimes we do have to admit that what I saw when I was 25 is not how I see it when I'm 43, because there's been some experiences that I've gone through. Or maybe at that time in my life, I was just so busy trying to push dogma that I grew up hearing that I didn't realize I was enslaving my own people. And when you come to that level of consciousness and awakening that happens, not just in the church, come on, that's what got Malcolm X in trouble. He had an awakening that happened, right? Martin Luther King had an awakening that happened as well. And so when you have that awakening, there's nothing wrong with us coming back and saying, when I was younger, I spake as a child, acted as a child, but now I'm older, I'm putting away childish behavior. I am now new and different, and follow me on this journey and this path as God is continuously evolving us.